What's up, dudes? It's Wade Universe. You're back to the Geeky and Nerdy, and I'm fucking pissed off right now. I have been sitting here trying to record one thing for the past 14 minutes, and every time I do it, I get so far, the recording will crash, or the system will crash, and I have to do everything over again. Do you think I'm pissed? Yeah. Oh, let's try and do this again, and hopefully that this will work out for the best. As you can probably tell, my throat had gone out from me yelling. That's not exactly a good thing, but it's not exactly something that I want to see happen either. So, yeah. WitchBlade, the anime from 2006 created by Funimation and Top Cow Media. Now, of course, I don't know anything about WitchBlade. I don't know nothing about the character, rather than that she was created by Mark Silvestri, and that she's an American-made comic book, which I think became popular in Japan, which was turned into an anime series, or maybe anime bought it out, I don't know. Because during the 2000s era, anime tried to grab hold of everything that they could, and transform it into a popular media. So, there you go. So anyhow, in WitchBlade you are introduced to Masane and Rihiko, and Masane and Rihiko are just in Tokyo basically. It was what they were coming from a different area, of course. And what happened in what happened in Tokyo is that they had an earthquake or something. Like a gigantic earthquake happened, and everything is just in ruins. It's been destroyed. Everything is mostly still standing, but everything is just like in basic ruins and whatnot. So we were introduced to basically, Masane Rihiko, and Rihiko is the most adorable character ever. Like, she is only 6 years old. She is very cute, very adorable, very admirable, and she is just all around the cutest character in this whole entire thing. Masane, I have to say this because I said this when I was watching the first 4 episodes here. She looks like she belonged in a hentai. I'm just saying. I said that out loud when I was watching the series. I'm like, the first episode. I'm like, she looks like that she belongs in a hentai. I kind of smacked myself in the mouth for that. I'm like, why did I say that out loud? I have no idea. But anyways, Masane and Rihiko are introduced. Apparently, Masane, in their words, from the Department of Children's Services, that she kidnapped her own daughter just to have her go with her, even though that she's trying to build up this relationship with her daughter, that the Department of Child Services is saying, like, you don't love your daughter as much as you think that you do. You are only pretending to love your daughter. We are the Department of Children's Services. We are the true enemies behind everything. So she ends up assaulting 2 officers, stealing a cop car, racing after her daughter, Fast and the Furious style, and then she tries to grab her, but ends up being thrown in prison. Mother of the Year for just stealing a cop car, for God's sake. So at the prison, what ends up happening is that her Witchblade, which is a weapon of Pat's use, which I'll talk about in a bit, is that basically her Witchblade activates and transforms her into a Witchblade wearer. There is no specific name for the wearer, it's just that it's Witchblade. So everybody who wears a Witchblade is basically just called Witchblade. So this mechanized monster comes in and basically takes over, tried to kill her, but she ends up killing it instead, all badass-like, and she runs away. She's later on captured by the NSFW, and that's where they tell her everything that they can about her. That's when they end up learning, like, why she is picked by the Witchblade, what the Witchblade sees in her, that they don't see anybody else. It's kind of really a difficult question, so to speak. But at first, the NSFW wants to test, Masane and see what she's made out of it. Well, in the meantime, Rihiko is doing the good daughter thing and trying to go and rescue Mommy. Yeah, she trying to find her mom so she can basically go back to where she was, and essentially with her mother, just run away, and of course, just be with her mom, so to speak. So the whole episode of episode two is basically just Ruhiko going after Masane, and that's when she meets up with Akawa. Now, Akawa is basically, he's a photographer. He's trying to get a good scoop on a story. He's basically like the male Lois Lane in this. I think that's kind of cool. Or basically Jimmy Olsen, if you want to be specific. He's trying to go after a good story. He ends up figuring out about the Witchblade, and that's when he wants to learn everything out behind the Department of Children's Services and also the NFFW. He thinks that it's all just a cover up. Is it is a big question. I actually do think that it is, but I can't speak on just being the guy that just watched only 4 episodes of it. So, mind you, I'm just spading off of what I saw in the series. So he's a really all-round character. He's kind of like the joke character, sort of, in this, where everybody pissed on him because he's a younger person. He doesn't pay his rent. He's in and out of the job. His boss kind of hates him. So he's just the all-around kind of like young person in the entire thing. But he did take care of Wahiko, and he does help her try to find Masane. In episode 3, you kind of learn a little bit more after they out the they test out the Witchblade on another like mechanized weapon thing, and that's when they end up learning that okay, if we want Masane on our side, we need Wahiko too, otherwise she will not listen to us and everything. So she does have the right circumstances in asking like what is the Witchblade and everything. So they try to explain to her that the Witchblade is a weapon that was created in the past that's been handed down from a generation of women, and mostly it's just women, not really any man or picked in a particular reason. She asked, why did it shoot her? And they said, ask the Witchblade. So basically, the Witchblade isn't a live weapon. It's something that can talk to you. It kind of reminds me of the Zanpakutos in Bleach, because the Zanpakutos can speak to their users. They all have a different form that they can use to talk to their user. So anybody can really talk to the Zanpakutos. To their name and whatnot, and also their spirit forms or whatever that it is. Kind of like, for an example, Reggie had Jabimaru, which is a baboon with a snake tail. So I mean, it's all very different in everything that they go through. So there is a moment where she is with Wahiko when they are reunited and together, and she hears the Witchblade talk to her when she's trying to figure out, like, what should I do? What should I do? Should I work for these guys? Should I not work for these guys? What should I do? And the Witchblade goes, if you don't work for them, I will. I will end up destroying everything. So it's kind of like the Witchblade has its own voice, its own personality, which is apparent when it takes over Masane. When it takes over Masane, it just wants and craves power. So basically, it is only like going after something that is extremely powerful. So later on, they end up fighting. They end up meeting this EM weapon, which is like an which is like a microwave type of weapon, and it'll open up, shoot out a grappling hook, and it'll grab people back in, and it will start microwaving them, including their organs, which is really really nasty. But we also learn that there is not one Witchblade people, there are a lot of them, and the funny thing is they're all sisters that all basically work together. So the person that's behind this is someone that is just named Father. He's just codenamed Father. So Father is basically the guy that is having all these daughters who have weapons that can transform into, well, the Witchblades. But apparently maybe one is lost. Whether or not that Masane is actually a daughter of Father is really the big question, and it's never really made apparent. But what ends up happening is that one of the Witchblades ends up getting microwaved in, not a so great fashion. But Masane ends up taking out one of the microwave things, just not the other one. So she ended up calling back into the job, and of course she's kind of like, what? I thought I killed the thing. I killed the thing already. And the guy that worked for her boss is like, no, you really didn't. He kind of like the Alfred Pennyworth in the whole situation, and kind of like, no, you didn't. In episode 4, which is kind of different, it doesn't have any really fight scenes in it. Not until towards the end of it. Mostly episode 4 is just the episode of Masane trying to be a good mom for Wahiko and trying to find a place where she and Wahiko can basically go. Basically, go out and have a good time, have an adventure, so to speak. So she is trying to find a place to run, and Wahiko trying to tell her like, I know a place. We go where an old woman, not really an old woman, but like a middle-aged woman took care of me and everything. So they end up going back there, and she ends up towards the end of it renting out a place for them. So she had to call her boss in order to tell him so. And even though he kind of is against it at first, he does later on go, okay, yeah, fine. They can rent from the older woman, whatever, because he's paying for everything. So wherever that they want to go, whatever that they do, he basically pays for everything. And then, so there's a new enemy that came in here called Rena, or is it Rena or Rena? Comes into play, and she is a Witchblade user as well, and she's one of the sisters of Father. So at the end of it, we're introduced to two of them, one in a really cool blue armor, and the other one in almost like a Deadman Wonderland sort of armor. Like, it's all white except for like some pink attachments in other places. So it looks like a really cool armor, and then Masane transforms, and that's where it ends off. So, is there anything bad I can say about it? A little. There's a lot good in it, but there's a lot some bad in it. So for the good aspects, I can definitely say the animation is top quality. It is fluent. It is flawless. I love it. The fight sequences are really, really damn good. The voice acting is superb. The music is just spot on for certain scenes, and but the bad aspect is they don't really explain. And I know that it's early, and some anime do this kind of thing where they don't explain anything at first. They kind of don't really explain what the Witchblade basically is. They explain like, oh, it can derive basically pleasure off of pain. It absorbs power. It is basically a super weapon. That's great and all, but you're not explaining what the Witchblade is. You're just saying like it's a super powerful weapon. Fine and dandy. They also don't explain at first, and I know I only watched 4 episodes, so I just have to critique it off of what I went off of. Which, if you want to see me do another episode, like repeat of like the next 4, the next 4 episodes up to episode 8, you can let me know. But essentially, you're going off of, just your four episodes. And they never explain why it picks women, why it prefers the strong embodiment of a female. Is it because of the female will? Is it their fighting spirit? What is it? I'm going to be a pervert because every single one of the Witchblade wearers all have 2 things in common. Technically 3. They have really big boobies. No, not joking. You should see Masane outside of this. She still had big tits. So they have really big boobies, really adapted bodies, which can still mean, like an hourglass or like a really thick kind of form. And also they have really good fighting spirits because Masane apparently in the Witchblade form can kick ass, and the other 2 that we're introduced to, they can kick all kind of ass too. So what they kind of led up to is basically really interesting of a point because you want to learn more. You just ask yourself questions that you try to basically figure out. And with me, especially watching like anime or other cartoons and mediums, I try to figure out what's going to happen next as it's continuing. Like, okay, maybe this will happen. I did the same thing when I watched the Teen Titans Netflix series, and when I sometimes I got like the, oh, I'm right, I get nerd points. And then I get the, oh, I was wrong. But this is really interesting. So I've not ever checked out a Witchblade comic book. Like at all. I did see an advertised in a comic book when I was a kid, but I've never seen it, like fully advertised. I was only 11 years old in 2006. So would I have gotten away with watching this? No, probably not. while it is a really good anime, it does have a really good fight scenes and whatnot. It's a good fighting, action adventure anime. However, there is a character named Sho when he's introduced, and Sho is on his computer looking at pictures of well adapted women, basically pooing, and when Wahiko walks up to his computer, he's looking at like bikini models and whatnot. Which I really doubt that's what he's into. Like he says, "Oh, I'm a bikini photographer." I'm like, yeah, no, I think that probably you're much more than that. But anyways, she goes to him and says, "My mommy had bigger ones." God dang it, Rico! It's so cute, but it's also like, why did you say that about your own mother? Basically saying, as Twitter puts it, and I have no idea why, I'm just gonna repeat Twitter, has big mommy milkers. Oh, I don't know, but it was adorable when it happened. I laughed harder than I probably should have. So if you have not seen WitchBlade, I highly recommend it, especially after seeing the first 4 episodes. Yeah, I can recommend it to anybody. I can recommend it to anybody that will really watch it. It reminds me a lot of also the Guyver and Bloodflux because they kind of have the same circumstance. Whereas in Bloodflux you have Saya, who almost is a basically well-adapted character that shows that she has a fighting spirit, but also she has amnesia and she can't remember her past very well. Same goes. Not really the same, but a lot happens the same for the Guyver. When he goes into the suit, he loses all memory, and he's like, "Where am I? What was I doing? Where was I fighting?" And when he remembers, he kind of like has an outbreak of it. So the kind of same thing happens with Masane when she goes into Witchblade mode. She blacks out afterwards. She can't hardly remember anything, only just a few specs and details. So I would definitely, again, would recommend watching Witchblade. I've only watched the first 4 episodes. So again, let me know what you guys think. If you guys want me to continue this series, if you guys want me to do a full season 1 type, basically review or discussion, let me know in the comments down below. There's another anime I'm going to do at some point, and I'm going to watch the first 4 episodes of, and that is Cowboy Bebop. So, be on the lookout for that. It probably might not come up anytime specifically soon, but still be on the lookout for that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, check out Witchblade. I bought this off of an FYE for only like $30 relatively about. So yeah, you guys can have some fun with that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and this is Blade the Universe, your master Geeky and Nerdy saying, remember, even though you might find something that's a fashion accessory, it might be demonically possessed. And also remember, your mother can have bigger ones than a bikini model. Wait. That's bad advice. Don't take that advice. But I'll see you next time.